Hey everyone, I'm excited to walk you through creating your Iterable email preference center. I'm going to take you through these slides that take you through step by step how to create your first email preference center. And then I'm actually going to do it in the platform as well. So this is not just going to be slides, we're also going to actually do it inside the platform. So I got the Push Planet platform open, I got the Iterable platform open, and I got these kind of how-to slides open. So you can pause this video at any time and actually set this all up yourself during this video. What's great about email preference centers is that your subscribers are going to love you for it. They're going to be able to opt in, opt up, opt down based on what they're kind of interested in subscribing for. You're going to see a reduction in total master unsubscribes, and you're going to give the power back into your subscribers' hands. So we love email preference centers for that reason. We want your subscribers to be able to control what they're messaging and what they're getting, and this allows for that. The great thing about Push Planet, it is fully branded, so it's going to just look like your brand. And it's very easy to set up inside the platform. So I'm going to walk you through that each step of the way. The first step is you pick a theme. Now, what's great about picking a theme, we have lots of themes here. So I just click create new page and lots of different themes here. Now, every single theme is drag and drop, which I'll show you in a minute as well. You can upload your logo. And so we have lots of different themes, and you can change the checkbox size. The font can be editable. You can upload your custom fonts in here as well. And so as you see, we have lots of different themes that you can pick and choose from. I'm going to pick this theme. And I'm going to show you this one. Now, what's great, and I can name this whatever I want. I'll call this email preference center, center version 1, let's say. And I'll save this. And now it kind of just spits out that theme, which is great. And everything is drag and drop. So I can kind of come in here. I can add a new logo. I can upload a new logo here. One thing I just want to highlight is you can actually take the CSS and HTML of your existing main website header and footer and just copy, paste, and drop that in here. And that way, in the header and the footer for the email preference center, you'll get the look and feel of your exact website with your main nav at the top and maybe your terms of service and your footer at the bottom as well. So it looks just like your site with this header, HTML, and footer. And that exists in the pages section where you can kind of just drop in raw HTML. Now, everything can be easily changed. So I could say, thank you. Here are your preferences, for example, and then you could, turn things off or on. Each checkbox can be changed as well, and I'll go through kind of the checkboxes and how they can kind of be integrated to different things in Iterable in a minute here. But we could change any text here, so I could say, coupons, for example, coupons, and you could change this as well. And this could all adhere to a custom font, so you can upload custom fonts in the file section, and they'll show up in this custom font section right here. So that is the design aspect. Everything is kind of editable. The big thing that I want to talk about is switching to mobile view. So you can click here, and you can also design with mobile in mind. It uses real device detection, so you could see what it looks like on mobile. And you're only going to see this version when they're on a mobile device, which is kind of cool. So you have a desktop view and a mobile view. Now the big thing as well. A lot of times you design the entire desktop in mind and made a lot of changes to it, that are different from this theme. And what you can do is you go to the mobile view and you could clone the entire design from desktop view. All right, so I picked a theme. We kind of went through logos and colors and how to add your header and footer. Now you could create an unlimited amount of pages in your Push Planet account. So it's not just email preference centers. You can also create landing pages. You can, we have lots of themes that have landing page themes that I want to quickly highlight. So you can, create landing pages. And those are a lot easier to build because it's just a one-way write into Iterable. We're just passing data through. In this case, we're doing a two-way. So it's email preference center is a little different in that way. We have to do a read and write operation to Iterable API, which we'll talk about. But you can create unlimited pages in the account. You could do, so we have email preference center themes. We have landing page themes. You can also do things like surveys as well. So there's a lot of flexibility with the platform in terms of pages. So the next thing I want to talk about in terms of design is the favicon. That's always a big thing. So let's go back into the page that I designed. So this one, and we have an SEO section where you can enter in the title. So you can say like brand, your brand name, email preference center. And then you can also upload a favicon, right? So a favicon is kind of what appears at the top of it. So let's preview this. And so in it. And let's take this URL and let's paste it right here. And you'll notice that we have that favicon there. Now you can update this favicon to whatever you like. Click add, and you can update that favicon, for example. And I like to use this service called favicon grabber. There's lots of them, and you can just add in your URL and hit grab, and it'll output your existing website favicon. And then you can also add a lot of metadata, keywords, and description. You can also add an HTML header for tracking purposes if you wanted to there as well. And that's good for like Google verification purposes as well. The next thing I want to go over is checkboxes and kind of how the checkboxes. So one thing you'll notice in this theme is we have remove me from all future communications. So what you can do, this checkbox has a special ability to say, look, actions to other checkboxes. So this one, when this is checked, we want all other checkboxes to be removed. So I'm going to say when this checkbox, and as you can see, I'm in field 8, which is corresponding to this checkbox. And we're going to say, okay, when this box is checked, checking this checkbox will uncheck all other checkboxes. So we can see kind of how this action works here. I'm going to preview it. When I click here, it's going to uncheck all these other checkboxes. Now there are times where people want to have, when they have a different type of ability. They have add me to all communications potentially. And so then you want the inverse of that, and you can have both of these. You could have, checking this box will check all other checkboxes. So you can do that as well. And there's lots of other properties as well. Sometimes you want that feature, but you want specific checkboxes to not be checked or not checked. So you could do any of those options, the inverse or to check it off based on what they do on these checkboxes. So let's go back. I'm going to switch this back to remove me from all. And this is good if they wanted like a master and subscribe. And we're going to do checking this checkbox will uncheck all checkboxes. Now, the thing is, if we've already designed our mobile version, and this is an update we're going to make, we're also going to want to make it to the mobile view, right? Think of the mobile view almost as a separate page in and of itself. And so you do have to do things twice when you want to update the mobile view. So we're checking this checkbox will uncheck all their checkboxes. All right, so we're going to go back into our flow here. So we kind of updated that. So we have a unsubscribe all functionality. Now the next step is we are going to set up the Iterable integration. So what we need to do here is we need to go to Iterable and we need to create a API key. So I'm going to go to integration. So I'm in my Iterable account here and I'm going to click API keys. And I like to create a new API key. And I like to say this one's for pref centers. So that way it's really obvious that this API key is only for pref center and we want to use the standard API key. So I'm going to create this. I'm going to copy this. And then all I have to do is click on integrations here. And I'm going to click new integration. And I'm going to click Iterable. And we have multiple different types of Iterable integrations. It actually doesn't matter which one you pick for the email preference center because we're just going to reference the API key. So I just like to pick the add email to list one, even though we might be adding to other things as well. So we're just going to call it Iterable Pref Center, right? So we know that this specific integration is add to the pref center. And the other Iterable integrations, those are really good for landing pages. So one can pass to list, another one can pass specific data attributes, another one can pass things to message types as well. So I'm going to save this. And as long as the API key is valid, we'll see true right here. And that's all we have to do. So now we kind of know that this Iterable preference center, and we have this 900, we have this 900 ID right here. So we have these integrations, and we just want to know that the preference center that I created, that is going to reference this integration ID of 900. So I'm going to go back here, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into. Let me just save and publish this, and I'm going to go back into this page right here. And so what we're going to do here is I'm going to turn this from a landing page mode to a preference center mode, and let's just make sure we're adhering to our guide here. So the next step is we did the API key. We got the new API key right here. We added it to, we got the standard API key. We added it to our Push Planet account. And now what we're going to do is we're going to toggle this from landing page mode to preference center mode. So I'm going to click here. This is the one that I designed. I'm going to click here on the pages table, and I'm going to switch this to preference center. Now, the difference between a preference center and a landing page is a preference center does a two-way integration. It does a read, right? Because what we want to do is when they open this page, we want to be able to read Iterable to show what checkboxes should be checked on and off for that specific email address or ID value. And so we're going to say this is a preference center, and we're going to pick that 900 ID Iterable integration right there. And then we can also display an error message. So for example, if the email doesn't exist in Iterable, we actually don't want it to display anything. So we can actually designate an error page. So I could, I can actually point this to, my domain.com and have like a 404 error message, for example. Or we can actually link it to an account, to a page in our system as well as a custom error message. Hey, your email does not exist. Please click on that link again in your email. Or you can designate a specific page on the email marketing page that we're going to create, the preference page we're going to create. So I'm going to save and publish this. And so what we did here is we just tied this Iterable integration to this page as a preference center page. So we changed the mode and we tied this specific integration to that page. So when you do that, you're going to see these new things appear in the editor, in the design editor. So now each checkbox, because it's a preference center and tied to Iterable, we now have these four new aspects to every checkbox. So this is super powerful. So every checkbox now, I can come in here and it's going to pull down all the message types that are in here. Now, one thing I want to caution everybody is in Iterable, you can have multiple projects. So you want to make sure you're in your production project, in the correct project. So if your message types, the correct message types are not showing up here, that means that they are you entered in like the wrong project Iterable API key, and that's a typical gotcha. So now what I'm going to say is, look, I only want to opt them in. Let's say we're going to do a specific message type ID integration with Iterable for this preference center. So I'm going to pick, hey, this is going to be checked on for this message type. This is going to be checked on for this message type. Now, and then so we can kind of just go so forth. So for message type W, and this is going to be message type, Z, right? So now each checkbox is associated to its own message type. And then we can also associate to a channel. And you can have multiple message types here. So if you want someone to look at multiple message types, you can do grouping. That's a popular one. You can also do lists. So some customers, they only use lists, for example. So you could say, okay, this is for marketing and promotions. This is for, news updates. This is for, another one, conferences. So you could have specific lists associated to specific checkboxes. And you can combine these as well. So one popular use case is just list. Another possible thing that we see a lot is message types as well as channels. So each one of these message types is also, each one of these checkboxes is associated to a different message type, but it's also associated to the marketing channel. So each one of these could be associated to the marketing channel, for example. And then you can also have data fields as well. And that's Boolean logic. So if you have like a data field, true, false, or yes, no, we can also attribute to that as well. And that is how you integrate a preference center to Iterable. And I'm going to publish this right here. And that's it. And make sure you do that for desktop as well as mobile view. So I have to go back into the mobile, and we want to make it a mirror replica of the integration. So we're going to go again here and select the message types, channels, list, and kind of what we did there as well. All right, moving forward. So we talked about the URL, the error page, and then we talked about kind of you want to switch it to mobile view. Now, one key thing that I might have already highlighted is that one really cool thing is you build the desktop version first, and if you wanted to, you can clone everything from desktop over to mobile, and you just kind of just have to resize it for mobile in mind. Now, when you're doing the resizing, one thing we always recommend is for the mobile view, we like the width to be 400px. So that's the only thing that we kind of recommend for mobile is the height can be whatever you want, because on a mobile phone, you can keep scrolling up or down, but you want the width to be 400px. That usually always looks good on mobile devices. All right, so now let's talk about custom domains. One thing that makes our platform powerful is you could use your own domain. And one popular thing is to use preferences.yourdomain.com. So if your domain was, let's say, brand.com, you can create a subdomain like preferences.brand.com, and then you have to go into your DNS settings and create a CNAME value and a text value. And the CNAME value you want to point to customers.pushplanet.com, and then you want to verify the domain. So this allows us to kind of add an SSL so that it's fully secure. and you want to pass that to pushplanet.azurewebsites.net. So there's 2 steps in the DNS settings, and once you do that, you can email us, and we will help you kind of add the SSL. Now, what's cool about that is I'll save this, and then there is a custom domain that you can add right here. So then you just add preferences.yourdomain.com, and then you're all set. This, you can have any type of URL slug. So you'll see that custom domain right here, and then you could do like /preferences, for example. So that'll be your URL right there. So it'd be preferences.yourdomain.com or brand.com/preferences, and it'll be HTTPS, which is cool. Now that we have our URL, right, we log into Iterable, and you go to settings, project settings, and enter in the URL of the hosted URL, unsubscribed URL input. So instead of using the default Iterable one-click unsubscribe all, you now have a full-on preference center that it's going to use when you enter in your URL right here. So the URL, so if you're using a custom domain, and so this is the exact kind of URL path that you want to add, right? So you want to add yourdomain.com, your custom domain, / whatever your URL slug was, and then you want to add this Iterable email identifier. So the way that the email preference center works is we're going to grab the email address, and then we ping Iterable. That's how our integration works. We ping Iterable's API in real time, and that is how we know what is checked on or off based on that email address. So this email address has to be included in the URL. And you can then, once this is added to this section in Iterable, you can use this slug in your template, in your email template, and it'll just default to this URL. Now, one thing I want to let you know is you can also base64 encode this email as well. You just add the base64 tags around this so the email is not revealed, and you can base64 this email address as well. And that way the email doesn't show up in the URL, and it also doesn't show up in the emails as well, in the link. And that's it. So we are here to help you guys out. Contact us at contact@pushplanet.com. We can help you design it, integrate it, get it launched. We have very hands-on support. We also have on-demand live training. We can jump on calls with you guys. The average email preference center that's basic is up and running pretty quickly. So let us know how we can help, and we'll talk to you soon.